Hello, I'm Scott Bokey here with Antonio Figueiredo ahead of his fight against Drake Lopez at Fury FC 96. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing good. And how are you feeling ahead of this upcoming fight?
I feel pretty good. Right now I'm just worrying about making weight and just trying to be mentally strong and things like that. But other than that, I feel prepared and I just gotta go out there and perform.
And how has training camp been? Has that gone well?
Yes, sir. It's gone pretty good, man. It's just pretty much been doing the same thing that I've done for my past camps, just making sure I work hard and just you gotta be disciplined, that's the main
Yeah.
key. Yes, sir.
And in your last fight, it was a first round knockout within the first minute. How did you feel like that fight went?
Uh it was like a dream, honestly. It was my first time doing something like that. I didn't know I didn't know I had the ability to do, to do what I did
Yeah.
in that fight. But it felt pretty good. I was happy with the results and I'm just, it motivated me to do more and I'm hoping I'll do the same thing on my next fights.
Exactly. And just before you got that head kick knockout, you were hit with a low blow. Did
Yeah.
that did that get you any more not get you any more determined to get that finish?
Um, no, not really. I knew why it happened because as he was kicking, I
Yeah.
stepped forward because I wanted to counter. And sometimes what happens when you do that, they tend to kick that low, you know what I mean? But as
Yeah.
I was recovering from it, it didn't make me angry or anything. I just stay composed and I stay composed and and I knew what I had to do. I knew that I had to be composed and just go out there and still perform at the end of the day. I just had to let that go. But
And was
I didn't use that against them, you know what I mean?
yeah. And was there any nerves coming into that fight? Because obviously you were making your debut and you were against a highly experienced veteran.
Exactly. Right. As far as nerves, honestly, man, I'm always nervous before a fight. So, yes, there was a lot of nerves during that fight. Well, it was mainly when I was walking out, and usually I'm nervous until I get hit. After I get hit, that's when everything goes away. And from that point on, I just knew I just knew what I had to do. The
Yeah.
nerves went away, and I was able to be focused and composed. So yeah, he kicked me in the leg, and I was all right. This is what he's got, and now it's my turn. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And do they make it any easier with Fury? They do fight out in Texas, which is obviously where you fight out of. Does that make it any easier?
Yes, so I live in Houston, Texas, and most of my fights have been in Houston. It makes things a lot easier for me, as far as like losing weight and things like that. I don't have to worry about traveling and get a hotel or anything. Everything is pretty much here. I have connections here. So yeah, I love the fact that I live in Houston and Fury, and this is where Fury was born, and so
Yeah.
as a competitor, it makes it easier for me. I don't have to do a lot. I can just rely on the resources that I have here. Yes, sir.
And does it make it any easier knowing that you were going from your amateur career, your last fight was with Fury as an amateur, and then making your professional debut with Fury? But did that make it any easier making that transition?
Yes, I felt home. I felt like I was home. I've been fighting for Fury. I debuted in Fury. That was my first amateur fight. And I'm gonna stick with them until I'm able to reach my goal. Which is make it to the UFC. But yeah, I feel like it made. I felt like I felt like I was at home at the end of the day. Because I've been with Fury since I started my fighting career. So it just feels if I know their environment, so it just feels natural. So yeah.
Exactly. And what was it that got you to make that transition from amateur to pro? Did they have a that did they give you an opponent at a pro, or did your coach just feel like it was the right time, so you told Fury to try and get a matchup at a pro?
Oh yeah, so the transition was so I was amateur for a while And if you look at my status, I was fighting like once a year and things like that as an amateur. The reason for that was it's because I was in college, so I was focusing on my college career. And so I didn't really have time to train. So whenever I would get a break from school, you know, I would I would go to the gym and train. And at that time, I did not want to go pro because as a professional, I feel like you got to take it more serious, which is what I'm doing now. Like I don't have to go to school anymore, so it's I get to train more. I don't have to worry about homework or anything like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, that's the reason why we decided to go pro. It's the fact that I'll be able to train more and I feel like it'll increase in my performance. That's what we felt.
And how do you balance that work-life balance, like the work-train balance?
How do I balance my what?
You- Being able to work and train at the same time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. It's pretty, I've been doing it's actually easier now, because before, even though when I was an amateur, I was training, I was working, and I was going to school. And so I was doing a lot of things at once. But now it's actually easier. All I do now, I just train and work. That's pretty much it. As far as work, my schedule is, my job is pretty easy. I only work throughout the week, I only work 1 hour. So that's a bonus right there. That's a blessing. So that helps me a lot. And yeah, man, I think that's how I'm able to balance the two, because I don't work long hours. I'm able to
Yeah.
train long hours. And so I feel like I got time, I have a lot of time to train, and that's what I use the most. I use most of my time to train. So yeah, that's how I'm able to balance that.
And like you were saying, you in your amateur career, you were doing that while you were in college. How did you get that? How did you get into the sport?
I got into the sport because as a kid, I used to like I watched a lot of martial arts
Yeah,
movies and like kung fu, and after watching it I would always go outside and try the moves. I thought it was pretty cool. And then in high school, my best friend, he was doing MMA, and I was doing boxing, but I really wanted to try out MMA. I wanted to see what it's like to learn. I was very eager to learn how to grapple and things like that. I thought like I saw an arm bar and I was like, oh my God, that's pretty cool. I want to learn how to do that. And so I started going to his gym, and ever since then, I stayed at the gym, and I started training there, and then the rest is history. I was just stuck with me.
yeah.
So
Do you feel like if you didn't make that transition to MMA, you would have gone into that boxing career?
yes. I feel like yeah, I definitely would. I definitely would do boxing instead of MMA, but also what encouraged me to do MMA is when I was in high school. Well, my freshman sophomore year, I was at a school that did not have wrestling, and then my junior and senior year, I changed school, and that school had wrestling, and so I joined a wrestling team, and that's what convinced me to do MMA more. And so the wrestling and entering the MMA gym is what convinced me to do it. But if it wasn't for that, I believe I would be a boxer right now. So yeah.
And have you been able to sign a multi-fight deal with Fury, or are you currently being able to have that flexibility with one fight deals?
I'm on a 4 fight contract with Fury. So this upcoming fight will be my second one. And so yeah, it's supposed to be four fights with them. That's the only contract that I am with them.
And do you feel like them giving you that four-fight contract right from your start of your professional career just shows how much faith they do have in you?
Um yes, I feel that way. And also I believe it's because I have history with Fury at the end of the day,
Yeah.
like I started with them as an amateur, and then as a pro, I'm still with them. So I believe they see me as, a loyal fighter. And yeah, I think that's the reason why they ended up giving me the 4 fight deal. So
And as an amateur with Fury, you were successful. You were at the top of the rankings. You did fight twice for the title. Unfortunately, you were unsuccessful, but you
yeah.
were up there in that title contention, fighting for that belt.
You said, can you repeat the last thing?
So you were in that title contention fighting for the belts.
Hmm.
How was those fights for you?
Uh, Honestly, man, those two fights that I lost, my first loss was against Alden Korea, and I was 18 years old when that happened, and to be honest, during that fight, it was a split decision. A lot of people thought I won, some people thought I lost, I was mad at myself, but I believe that I did not learn anything from that fight, I guess it's because I was very young, I wasn't no, I knew I wanted to be a fighter. I took it serious then too, but it didn't motivate me to be better, I feel like, But my second loss against Josh Van, I feel like that's when, the light in my brain switched.
Yeah,
I got very obsessed about being better. That's the fight that I feel like improved me as a fighter, and I was able to notice the difference I was able to notice the difference in myself in training and on my last amateur fight, I was able to accomplish things there that I've never done. And also on my last fight, I was able to get my first finish and honestly, I feel like it's because of that Josh Van fight. I feel like I've learned a lot from me, and I actually used the knowledge. I used the loss as it taught me a lot of lessons, and
yeah,
I used the lessons that I learned from it. So yeah,
yeah, exactly. And you never know, you might be able to get that rematch against Alden. If I'm not mistaken, he does fight in Fury as well, so you
yeah,
can get that rematch at some point.
yeah,
Now, if I'm not mistaken, are you still with War Trading Center?
yeah. I train at War Training Center. I was actually
How,
there today.
and how has that been for your development?
It's been great. My coaches, they're very passionate. That's what I love about my coaches. They're very passionate and they're very disciplined too, like that's every day, I go to the gym, they're always there. Coach Adams, I feel like he's a maniac, sometimes he doesn't even get any sleep just to make sure that we get the quality trainings, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um but yeah, it's I feel like having disciplined coaches and passionate coaches, it'll make I feel like it also motivates the fighter to work harder, because you see your
yeah,
coaches are working hard to make sure that you're better. So it makes you want to be at the gym, because there's somebody out there that's trying to make sure that
yeah.
you do good, you know what I mean? So yeah, as far as my experience at War is great. I get good training there. My coaches make sure that I'm always at the gym and things like that. And so, yeah, man, it's a great gym out there.
And you do have a lot of top level fighters training out there as well. I know you have, I think it's Trent Giles who is in the UFC. How
Yeah.
is it having those UFC fighters being out there?
It's funny because actually me and Trevin has known me since I was in high school actually. Me and Trevin we started at Elite MMA. That's our original gym before we went to war. We used to train at Elite
Yeah,
MMA. And so yeah, I've been with Trevin, before he was in the UFC. And so like seeing Trevin make it to the UFC, it motivates me too,
yeah,
I feel like he opened the path, he showed us the path you know, to believe that it's possible that we can make it to the UFC and things like that. So seeing him out there training every day, it definitely motivates all of us, all the fighters that trying to make it to the UFC. And yeah, it's great having Trevin out there, and it's always good to talk to him. He always gives you great advice and things like that. So
yeah. Well, thank you for coming on. I know you get an absolute great performance and you'll be able to get that victory. I'll let you have the final word. Anything else you're wanting to add or anyone you're wanting to shout out?
uh yeah, I just I wanna thank, all my coaches for being there for me, to make sure that I get quality trainings. all my training partners, they're always out there making sure that I get good trainings, because well, I mean, without training partners, you can't really get the work that you need. So the fact that I have I have those resources is very important, and that's something that I'm very grateful for. And all the people in my corner, the people that are always talking to me and giving me ideas, I just shout out to all of them. Shout out to all the people in my corner, and but yeah, it's pretty much all I have for that. So yeah,
Well, that sounds great. Thank you for coming on. I know you're going to go and get a great performance and be able to get that victory.
awesome. I appreciate you, Scott.